Well, you just finished watching The Royal Divide, and it's only natural to compare the Duchess of Sussex to the Duchess of Windsor, both divorced American women who met their princes when they were 34 years old.
Yeah, and they are united in a lifetime of scandal and controversy. So go ahead and you can compare, but some say it's going to be simply a stretch. But what a story it is.
We're stretching it. Wallace Simpson married the King of England, and he gave up his throne for her.
Whereas in here too, and therefore Harry won't even come close to sniffing the throne. He's sixth in line. That's a longer wait than at the deli at Giant.
It always resurrects itself. Anything that happens at Buckingham Palace, this story comes back.
So pour a natty bow in the goblet that reads uncrowned on the rim. How a Baltimorean did the unthinkable.
She dethroned the King of England.
What a bit of Baltimore here on Biddle. Wallace lived right there with Mom. Her neighbor was famous author Gertrude Stein. So how do you end up going from Biddle to Buckingham?
She had gone to England with her second husband, Edward Simpson, and they were in different circles at that level, and they ran into the Prince of Wales, who was quite the party man.
You could see what's coming.
He fell madly in love with her, almost obsessively in love with her.
So this Baltimorean who was married twice and divorced twice, how do you think this went over?
Oh, not popular at all.
Against her own wishes, Edward went full steam ahead and said, "Don't king me."
She basically crashed the whole monarchy. The way it was, the direction.
They would marry in France. No royals would attend. The two would come back to Baltimore often.
She always considered Baltimore home. Her aunt was here. She was very close to her mother's sister, Bessie Merriman.
And Wallace and Edward were very close to our royalty here in Baltimore, Mayor Clarence Miles.
They would come and stay with the Mileses on the Eastern Shore. They had a house called Blakeford, which burned, and then they had another house called White Banks.
And that's how the Maryland Historical Society got her monkey dress. And another one she wore once. And this great place also got the Duke's suit.
He was never allowed to be part of England again. He was basically in exile.
And at the ceremony for the Queen Mother, Wallace and Edward came back. She met the Queen for the first time, who was 10 when her uncle bolted. The Duke would die in 1972 and Wallace would pass in 1986.
Originally, they were going to be buried at Greenmount Cemetery. They were looking at a plot there on Rose Circle.
But Wallace was allowed to be buried next to her husband at Frogmore House. And guess who used to live in the house? Meghan and Harry. See, you can't bury this story.